Hello everyone and welcome to the Trending in My Life podcast, episode 43. This week I want to talk about trying too hard. Are you trying too hard? I know I am. And sometimes you do it and don't even realise you're doing it. So let me explain. I'm currently on vacation from work. I haven't gone anywhere. It's a staycation. But this is the fourth day I've been on vacation, and today is the first day I consciously took time just for me, just to please myself, to do things, to relax and chill. This morning I went to a park and I walked around with bare feet on the grass to do some grounding. And I tend not to do that until we get to the summertime because you can guarantee the grass is nice and dry to walk on. And we're still in spring at the moment. But I wanted to give myself some time to do that. And whilst it didn't work out exactly as planned, because you'll see, because I'll put it in Friday's video, there were planes going overhead, and there were families and couples and sort of shouting at the kids, and arguments between couples would drift across from the pathway to where I was walking on the grass. And that sort of kills the vibe of trying to be peaceful and relaxed. There was quite a lot of time when I wasn't filming because I wanted to enjoy just the moment of what I was doing, walking on the grass, feeling how it felt. But even in that aspect of it, I'm trying too hard because I was combining the fact that I was going there purely to relax with the fact that I wanted to do some filming at the same time. Now, I should really have done that in two different trips so that I wasn't thinking about filming as well as doing things. And I was kind of in that mode where I was going, oh, more people walking past and arguing and oh, there's another plane going overhead, and that really does kind of kill the mood of what I was trying to do. But having said that, this is the knock-on effect I think you get with grounding. When I got home, I had my lunch and I was just chilling watching a video, and then I thought, oh, I'll watch another video. And I suddenly realised I could quite easily spend the whole afternoon just watching YouTube videos because I was in that very chilled mode. And I thought, that's definitely the grounding kicking in, that the vibe of my whole body is that I'm not tense. So yeah, so that does have a knock-on effect. But I was aware that I was trying too hard. And it's crazy because you can think to yourself different scenarios of trying too hard. And there are obvious ones, like if you're in a workplace and you're trying to get ahead and get a promotion, or you're trying to, you're on a probation period and you want to make sure that you get offered the job permanently, you will tend to try too hard. You will tend to, if ever they want to volunteer for something, you're there, you'll do it. And you're taking on more than is necessary, and sometimes so that you're feeling very stressed because of how much you've taken on and you can't really handle it, but you feel like you have to, and you're just trying too hard. Or even in a workplace, you can be trying too hard. A new person starts and you immediately try and be their best friend, and oh yeah, I'll get you that stationery that you need, and yeah, if you want to know how to get to the lunchroom, I'll take you there, and stuff like that. And it can be off-putting to the person that you're trying too hard with. From a boss's point of view, they can see you slightly negatively if you're always the one that's taking on too much but wants to do it, you've got to be the one to take things on and not allow other people a chance to take things on. They can start to think, well, this person's just a suck up. They're just always volunteering for things, even though they sometimes not even capable of doing it. And they're not focusing on the job that they're supposed to be doing. They're taking on lots more roles and tasks, more than they can handle. And so it can work against you, not for you. So you can be trying too hard to achieve something and then it backfires. There's also trying too hard, of course, with relationships. You meet somebody and immediately, if you like them, you're trying to impress them. You're trying to be the better version of yourself, not exactly relaxed and just you, but more, it's like you've turned up the volume on your personality so that you're trying to be the funniest person to make them laugh, or you're trying to be the most upbeat. You always come up with the ideas of where to go and what to do. You're the fun one, but at the same time you can take that the other way and you can be trying to be the most romantic one. And if it's early in the relationship, if you're turning up in flowers and taking them to candlelit dinners every time, it might be over the top and too much. It might not, it depends the person that you're with, but you probably can't consistently keep that up because you're trying too hard, and eventually you'll sort of burn out trying too hard and return to your normal everyday self. There's that trying too hard to fill time, and that's what I'm in the process of doing at the moment. I've got vacation days. I did have 18. I've now got 14, but that's still 2 weeks. That's still a lot of days in which to do things. But for the last 3 days, I've been very conscious of the fact of I get up and I have to be off out and I have to be doing this and doing that, and then I come back and I'm doing this and that at home, and it's like I'm on a schedule even though I'm on vacation. And whilst I want to do some additional filming to get a backlog, which is always very useful for content creators, so that if you have an unpredictable time when you can't actually film or edit, if you've got a backlog, you can just schedule one of those and not feel that you've let people down by not putting out content on the regular days. I came to the conclusion last night that I'm running myself ragged trying to get to that point, and I will naturally get to that point, just because I've got a lot of days when I'm free to do what I like. And I decided last night to calm it all down and and just chill a bit. And then when I woke up this morning, I spontaneously thought of going grounding, and that involved a walk. I stopped at a bench that I have done previously to do a Nixon, where you just think of nothing. That's the idea. And I spent 5 minutes there thinking of nothing, and then there was a house across the road behind me where they had some scaffolding up, and apparently the builders had arrived and started clanking away, and I thought I cannot think of nothing when they're doing that. So I carried on my walk and went to a large park where I was planning to do the grounding, which I did. And like I say, it didn't work out exactly as planned, but at the same time, I am enjoying that knock-on effect, that slightly chilledness within me. And I'm like, where's that coming from? How come I'm not so uptight and need this, need that, but I'm not. So it is obviously very good for you. Yeah, so I also think with trying too hard, I mean, it sounds crazy that you try too hard for yourself. You think, well, how can you do that? But sometimes you do. Sometimes you're focusing very much on your appearance and you're trying too hard to make sure there's not a hair out of place with your hairstyle, that your clothes are immaculate when you step outside your house. And maybe if you tried 75% instead of 99%, you would be happier. And there's this thing where, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to be comfortable with how you look and yourself. And from a YouTuber point of view, I speak to all content creators. If you remember back to your very first content that you put out, I think we're all in the same boat, that suddenly you're in front of a camera and you can see a million flaws that you weren't even aware of. And I went through that phase, and you do go through that phase and out the other side, and content is king, and you want to put out things on certain days, and whether your hair doesn't quite look right or your ears that are too big or too small, you will get over it and think, well actually, that's just me and this is my channel, so people need to accept me for who I am. And more importantly, I need to accept me for who I am. But I do think not everyone is aware that they're trying too hard, or that it takes some time before you get that light bulb moment when you suddenly realise, wow, I'm coming on too strong, I'm trying too hard, I'm trying to be everything for everybody all the time, and sometimes I just want to chill and be me and not have to try so hard. But you can go through trying too hard for a long time before you come to that, or it can occur to you much faster. So what do we do? What do we do when we're trying too hard? Certainly if you're trying too hard for a promotion or in a work scenario, you might say to me, well, heck, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get the result I want. I'm not going to get that promotion. I'm not going to get what I want out of my job. I need to be doing this. And that's a fair point. But as I say, sometimes bosses are going to view what you're doing slightly negatively, and maybe they want to see the authentic you. And it might be that you are constantly coming up with ideas, and that's showing them a different side of you, perhaps, that you wouldn't have the opportunity to show in your everyday job. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that you need to be aware that you're trying too hard, and you can try, but perhaps not try too hard. So perhaps just rein it in slightly, perhaps tone it back a bit, so that it's a regular trying and not a trying too hard, which I know when there's degrees of things like that, it's very difficult to know where the line is to draw. But perhaps that's the answer, to tone it back a little bit. And I think in relationships that naturally happens. You can be trying too hard at the beginning, being the better version of yourself, and you just want to show yourself in a very positive light. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But eventually in a relationship you will show more of your true self. Sometimes it comes through, you've been like full on very attentive and stuff, and then you come down with a cold and suddenly you're ill and you can't be that for your partner, and they see you in a vulnerable position and maybe see more you than they ever have before. And it also gives them a chance to switch roles with you and maybe try too hard to take care of you when you're not very well. So then you gain an insight into perhaps a different side of their personality. They're not always the taker, sometimes they can be the giver, and in that respect the relationship grows. So that can only be a positive thing. So yeah, what can we do about trying too hard? I think the main thing is to be aware of it. The main thing is to be conscious of it and ask yourself if it's what you want to continue to do. And you may say to yourself, well, whilst I'm trying for this promotion, I'm going to keep trying too hard. But at the end of the month, they're going to pick someone for this role. And after that, I'm going to be more myself, and I can either start into the new role because I won it, or I can chill back into my old role. Because I have to accept that somebody else got it this time, and maybe it's for me the next time. And in the relationship scenario, you might find trying too hard actually drives the person you're trying too hard for to draw the conclusion that you're not really right for them. You're too much, too full on, and then you're released from that relationship, shall we say, and you're on your own for a bit, and maybe thinking how you were behaving was not the best way to go into a relationship. And the next time round, you don't try quite so hard. You do try, but not too hard. And then that's more successful. And the person you're with gets to feel that they're seeing more of you. And that's a good way forward. I think it's hardest if you're trying too hard with yourself, because if you're trying too hard with your appearance, you can say to yourself, yes, but this is the person that I want to be, this person with the perfect clothes and the perfect hair, etc., just as an example. So I need to continue to try too hard. Well, if that is the persona that you want to be, the person that you want to become, then at some point you won't be trying too hard, because your wardrobe will be full of fabulous clothes, and you will be in a routine of fixing your hair or every morning just so. And when at the beginning it was taking a lot of effort, it will become routine. And once it becomes routine, you've dropped the trying too hard. It has become who you are. So again, that naturally evolves into something else. And from my point of view, my trying too hard to fill the time. And I think I'm not the only one with this. I think sometimes if you have a vacation, you rush around trying to do everything, you know. You want to be on that jet ski, you want to ride that roller coaster, you want to do that scaling a mountain, you want to... And it's almost like you go back to work for a rest, because you've been rushing and dashing, and sometimes you can do that, but allow yourself the quiet times. Allow yourself lying on a sun lounger, reading a Kindle. Allow yourself a morning swim that's just about starting a day and feeling the water around you, not about going as fast or beating your best or anything like that. And go for a walk, where I think that there is the most wonderful type of walking where you don't have a purpose. If you walk without a purpose, it's very, very relaxing, because you walk down a street and you think, okay, maybe I'll walk down that road. Not been down there before. And you gaze around and you think, oh, look, that's a nice gate on that house. And then you go a bit further and you're like, oh, look at that bird in that tree. Wow. And you're not going anywhere. You're not going in a certain direction. You're not trying to get anywhere, to buy something or bring it back. No purpose walking. You know, no set agenda. And when you haven't got that, it's really nice. And you feel so much more relaxed, because, you know, you can walk till you feel like turning around and walking back. You can, and you can stop and look at something if you like, or keep walking. Yeah, and I think that's really nice. And sometimes when we're on vacation, that happens, because we're in a completely new environment and we set off walking and we're just really exploring where we are. In our head, we're probably doing a trail of breadcrumbs to make sure we know our way back to wherever we've left. But we are much more like, oh, wow, these buildings all look so different. And, you know, there's cobbles on these streets. And well, I guess the sea is somewhere down here. I'll come to it eventually. And, oh, look, that says Old Town. Maybe we'll just wander through there on the way. And I can smell some wonderful food. Oh, it's coming from that cafe over there. Let's go have a look at the menu. And that sort of naturally evolving path that you're taking is just so relaxed. It's just taking you anywhere you want to be. And if we can include any of that into our daily life, or even just at weekends, I think it's so nice to be that chilled. So if you are trying too hard in whatever scenario is in your life at the moment, I hope you're aware of it and then can adjust your life according to whether you want to keep it going or whether you want to maybe pull back a bit. So I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend and come back next time. Bye for now.